From my perspective, people start to create to-do lists and then they become to-learn lists. But in the reality, what it counts is when that learning becomes action. A lot of people, they fail because of that accountability piece. And that action becomes some sort of result. The result doesn't have necessarily to be positive. It could be a total failure, but the learnings that you get out of that action, that counts, especially if you do that in volume. It's easier and more fulfilling in a way for you to keep learning new strategies and never implementing for yourself.
Welcome to another episode of E-Coffee with Experts. I'm your host, Austin Willman. I'm here today with Gledsley Müller. He is an agency acquisition specialist, and I'm excited to get into it. I'm not going to give you a whole rundown because you will find out exactly what we're going to talk about. If you're an agency owner, an operator looking to exit or looking to partner, this is going to be the episode for you. Gledsley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the invitation.
You're very welcome. And you have a podcast of your own, just for the audience. If they want to listen to other podcasts, what is the podcast we should tune into?
It's called the Learn, Apply, Repeat podcast.
Learn, Apply, Repeat. It sounds like that's a mantra of your own, and then you just expanded that into listenership.
It does. Never stop learning, but applying is important.
Yeah. We kind of get, a lot of folks will get stuck into the input versus output trap. Learning, reading, listening to podcasts, but then at some point you have to cross the barrier and actually start to apply those. How do you think about, that concept, input versus output?
From my perspective, people start to create to-do lists and then they become to-learn lists. And these feels good because you learn something new, you attended a new workshop, you have another course, you bought it. It does feel good because it feels like you're growing. But in the reality, what it counts is when that learning becomes action and that action becomes some sort of result. The result doesn't have necessarily to be positive. It could be a total failure, but the learnings that you get out of that action, that counts, especially if you do it that in volume. So let's say you read a book and then like out of that book, do you have one thing that you can act on? You don't even have to read the whole thing, right? Did you find something that is like, oh, I could do that quickly, and then you do it. And this actually, you can actually start measuring. Otherwise, it's just like knowledge for knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge for knowledge's sake. I mean, I was on a accountability call earlier today, and we were just joking that you can't really see them, but I have books on these shelves up here. And I was like, most of these books have a bookmark in them about, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through. But a lot of the times I feel like it is because what you said, like I find something tangible, find something actionable. It shapes the way I think, and therefore my actions are different. And I feel like I get the gist of the book and I can move on. I mean, when we're talking about agencies, what do you feel like many founders are learning, but they're resistant to implement?
That's a great question. One that comes straight into my mind is creating content on LinkedIn. They keep saying like, oh, you have to have a personal brand, or if you post every week, you can get some warmer leads. But they keep thinking, I need to find another specialist that says the same thing. And they're like, oh, but I don't know what to write. Maybe I need to sign up for another course or sign up for another community. And then you check their LinkedIn. It's terrible. They don't have a decent picture. They don't have a decent heading. They don't have a message. They don't even have their ICP, right? Their ideal customer profile persona, whatever they want to call it, set. And then they say, I'm not getting leads, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right. And this is so simple. It depends only on you to sit for like half an hour, write something. It doesn't have to be perfect, and then just ship it. I think this is the very first thing that comes to my mind. The second one is creating lead generation strategies, like a freebie that you can give away, put it behind an opt-in, and then like a form, people just sign in, like create this. Sometimes they do that to their clients, but they don't do it for themselves. And trust me, I've committed that crime too, right? But it's just like when it depends on them, it goes back into what we were discussing before. It's easier and more fulfilling in a way for you to keep learning new strategies and never implementing for yourself.
There was I realized this, last year, I think, where I was talking with someone, one of my friends, and he says, I asked him, how's the book coming along? Because he's writing a book, but I know that he's been writing that book since 2020. And I think for a lot of people, just the validation that they get from other people by telling them that they are in the process of writing a book is just as much or even more so than saying I'm a published author. It's not, they don't even want to write the book. They just want to tell people that they are writing a book. And it's the same thing with a lot of this. Like, I am working on my personal brand. Oh, that sounds great. Oh, yeah, it's really tough. And then there's a conversation and it's easily relatable to other people because other people understand the struggle. They understand building things, but not a whole lot of people understand what it's like on the other side of actually accomplishing something big. And I
Yeah.
think that's the crux of it. So, yeah.
I love that you touched that because this is a beef that I personally try not to do it. I've learned in the past that you should commit in public. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
going to do that. And you touch in something that I've seen in a lot of people. It's like just by saying that you're going to do it, you get the validation, the pat in the back. Oh, you're amazing. You are writing a book, or like, oh, you're starting a podcast. This is amazing. Well done. Oh my God. I wish I were so courageous like you that put my face in there. And that gives like that sense of accomplishment, and you let it go. It's just like I already received the pat in the back that was actually what I wanted. But because writing a book takes time, creating something like a podcast takes time, and you know it. Right? It's like it's the commitment in there, sitting down, writing, or sitting down, selecting people to interview, figuring out the theme, topics, and then how you're gonna do it. And most importantly, it's like sticking your face in there to be slapped because we can play as much as we can, but like we're always gonna get a punch in the face with something that we didn't expect, right?
Mm.
So, and I've seen these effects that you mentioned like all the time. So it was great that you noticed that too.
Absolutely. Who was it? Mike Tyson that says everybody has a plan
Yeah,
until they get punched in the mouth. Yep. There it
exactly.
is. I'm sure. Okay. So you work with a lot of agency owners. You work with them in partnerships. You acquire agencies. You help founders prepare to sell or be acquired or merge. So walk me through a little bit of, your methodology. Like specifically, I'm looking for, is there, what key things do you look at for an agency to be in a position to either merge or be acquired?
Okay. That's a great question. Nowadays, what I look is if the business has clients, if the agency has clients, recurring revenue, they may be in different sizes, doesn't matter that much. But if it is not failing, it's a good prospect. It's a good agency to look into. Things that I look after that is just like who's the operator, who's the owner? Are they inside the business all the time? Is it a thriving agency because that person does everything? If I take them away for a month, what
Hmm.
happens? If I take them away for 3 months, what happens? Because a lot of thriving agencies, if you remove the owner, if you remove that leader, it kind of crumbles.
Mm,
Every single client relationship is with them. They've made all the processes kind of rely on them.
mm,
They kind of try to micromanage because it's kind of their baby and nobody can do the quality of work as they can. So these are kind of red flags in a way.
mhm,
And there are different strategies that I use depending on the size of the agency, kind of the revenue that they have, the profit that they do. But if they have clients and if the owner is either willing to leave and then the company doesn't necessarily rely on them too much, or maybe in 3 months to six, I can extract them from the business and then make it work. It could be a full acquisition.
mm,
But mostly now, what I try to do is like finding operators there. They're still eager to grow, but they
mm,
hit a barrier, they hit a wall, and they don't know how to go over that. Sometimes they don't know the operations, they don't have operating systems or playbooks in
mhm,
place. They are the barrier because of that. It's all in their brains, right?
mhm,
Or they are not financially savvy enough or business savvy enough because they started like I am a designer, I'm going to start an agency, or I am a developer, I'm going to start an agency or an automations agency, but they have no idea about business, and then suddenly they get some clients and it just grows, and then they're like, oh my god. But sometimes with little tweaks you can make profit go way bigger than that. Like sometimes it's pricing, they hire really badly. They have prejudice with some nationalities, or
Mm,
everything needs to be full time, so they don't know how to control cash flow. For example,
mm,
I see a lot of companies, not only agencies, failing because of cash flow, right?
mhm.
They overcommit, they charge net 30, net 60, and then
Yeah,
they run out of money because someone didn't pay the bill.
yeah,
So there are different ways that I look into, but lately I need people that they're willing to put the work and they are not afraid to let the baby come into someone else's lap as well. It's like nobody's gonna
yeah,
eat the baby.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the main challenge. Like a lot of the times it's not necessarily the business operations, it's the founder that you're dealing with or the operator that has limitations maybe in their thinking. Tell me a little bit about your, let's say, trial period when you're entering a conversation about acquisition or partnership. If you're looking to be a part of the agency, that trust is the main factor that you need to earn. How do you go about doing that, earning that trust over the first 90 days of a relationship?
So that came out of my work as a consultant and coach, right?
Mm,
Business coach.
mhm,
When you do that, you bring your knowledge and everything, but you have a fee. And then they pay you a fee if they implement what you suggested or not. I've
mm,
been paid. I'm here. I'm asking you, do it. You don't do it. I'm paid. Goodbye. So what I thought about doing is like something different, right? It's like, I think a lot of people they fail because of that accountability piece. So the structure that I put in there mostly is just like before getting married, we need to date.
mm,
I don't know if I can work with you,
mhm,
right? You don't know if you can work with me. We may have some trust issues, right? When it comes to business, of course, you have to have a level of like alert because you may get married to someone that in the end of the day, divorce is coming, right?
mm,
So the way I usually tailor is that 3 months, you don't know me. I look into your agency and I see some potential areas where I have a lot of expertise and I have the feeling that I could help. So we set up some objectives that are achievable in 3 months. Some things that if you haven't done it, I'm pretty sure you have a knowledge gap in there. And then I figure out, can I also extract you out of the company in these 3 months? So
mhm,
can we get more revenue? Can we get more clients? Can we make the finances a bit better? Can we change pricing? Can we tie up an ICP? Can we fix the operations? And what can be achieved in 30 days?
mm,
And if we get to the point, that's when I kind of like, I am able to come and join you as a minority owner.
mm,
It's a bit of, instead of like, let's say, if I charge $10,000 for doing the coaching with my whole team, I'll charge way less. And then we're going to work together the same way. But
mhm,
then it's me not charging you what I would do without kind of any accountability on my side. So it's a bit
mm,
of sweat equity because I bring my team.
mhm,
It's not only me, it's the whole team that I have behind running all the finances and reviewing all the processes. And then if we achieve that, it's like I kind of financially invested in your
mhm,
company. And then by the time we hit these 90 days, ideally, what we would have is like the valuation of your company was here, your agency was here. After 3 months, it's in here. And
mm,
by the time like the equity that I ask is just like wherever you were here, you still have the same thing in here. But now I kind of earned that little piece
mm.
myself. And why I do that? Because a lot of coaches, what happens is that after 3, 6 months, they vanish. You
Yeah,
stop paying them. Were you in the middle? Like, not my problem anymore,
yeah,
right? But after that, even though I am a minority, I continue. And what's happening is that I'm creating a group of agencies that they are specialized in different areas. They don't overlap too much, right?
mhm,
But sometimes they get a project that they cannot fulfill. So they
mhm,
either have to find a contractor, a freelancer, and then that's when hiring goes wrong, right?
mhm,
Or the whole profit goes to the other company. So what I'm trying to do is like this group, I am tailoring things so the white label, the exchange of jobs, it's in there. The operations, it's kind of streamlined. So because I'm working with several agencies, I can see which are the processes, the playbooks that work best. And once we find it, we pass to all of them. And I have a mastermind of all the agency owners that we meet on a monthly basis, and then we discuss the businesses. So you're not alone anymore, because being an agency owner is like you're grinding. It's like, and sometimes you hit a wall and you don't know how to do it. But if you are in a group that they have similar issues, and sometimes one agency is bigger than the other one, so we face different challenges, we can help each other. And even when we talk about white label, people are like, the big guy, usually, if it's a handshake partnership, the big guy will lowball the small guy. But because I have skin in the game, so I have a bit of equity everywhere, I know all the numbers. So of course, I'm not gonna like pass the work and like it's gonna be the cheapest one. Only the big agency will like make more money. No, it's like it's gonna be fair work, and then each agency is especially. So in the end of the day, the end clients, they get the best quality of work, even though they are with one agency that's not actually their core.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like, I mean, you mentioned this mastermind, right? When I was working with Neil Patel and Eric Sue, the reason I was brought on to the company was to manage a community of agency owners. And this initiative was something that we'd started, but it was very difficult to do, which is how do we form a partnership network similar to what you're talking about, but there was no centerpiece, let's call it, who maybe had equity in each company and like understood all the the P&Ls of each company and could act almost as a matchmaker, I guess. So for an agency owner or a founder who's listening to this and they're in a similar situation, they're like, I would like to offer more services. However, I just don't have the capacity. I don't have the human resources to do it right now. And I've had bad experiences with contractors or white labeling in the past. How do you recommend that they go about looking for and starting a partnership?
That's a great question. I think the shortest way is like getting in touch with me.
Yeah, which we will link to your website in the show notes here. Yeah.
No, but I think it comes down to risk and putting a bit of trust. I think nowadays people are super polarized. Like if you're not with me, you are my enemy, right? And I talked about that on an article on LinkedIn that says like why we're gonna fight as if we were competitors if we could join forces and go towards the same goal. So you don't have to partner with me, but you could look for someone that does something similar that you do, like another agency that does kind of the same thing, but they are in a different geographic area, and then suddenly you're clearly not competitors. Like one of my agencies is in the UK, the other agency is in Brazil. It's like not competing, right? But sometimes people, you mentioned that as like a limiting belief, like a mindset problem, because they see everyone as competition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more about like you starting to think that I can take some risks. I can have a bit of faith on the other human. And at the same time, be a bit protective. That's why I tailor these 3 months, because it's kind of the dating phase. If I don't achieve these objectives, I prove to you that I'm not who I say I am.
Yeah.
That I don't have the skills that you may be looking for. And that's how I handle this. But out there, or previously, I had some handshake agreements, and I still have some as well, that I try as much as possible to be fair with them. If they are smaller, sometimes they are bigger agencies as well, that they do some stuff if I don't have the capacity as well. I pass to them. But it all comes down to a bit of trust and figuring out that not everyone is out there to bite your head or take your prey or your clients. There are different types of partnership that they can have.
So tell me a little bit about visibility on LinkedIn. It is a trend that I've seen personally where, especially in that community that I was managing, they were all talking about, okay, I'm the founder and I'm torn between developing a founder-led brand and being behind the scenes and just building the entity brand as itself. Right now, my main lead flow is from networking and referrals, which rely heavily on the founder. But the idea of creating a personal brand and a following on LinkedIn is to reach your ICP through your own thought leadership content. The understanding is that if I post consistently and I post enough value-based content, that I will start to receive inbound leads. It takes a long time to do that. And you definitely need a strategy or lead magnets or something in order to make the transition or kind of bridge that gap between putting out content and having that content do something functionally for the business. How do you advise them on building their personal brand? And is that the move for 2026 for, let's say, agencies around seven figures, or let's call it $1 million to 3 million, 1 to 3 million?
All right. That's a really great and complex question
Yeah.
for a single answer. So what I would say is that having a personal brand is important because we make business with people that we like, that we know, especially if we know, if by reading or watching or consuming their content, we can see who they really are. And if they are the leaders of the company, it's easier for them to trust in you and in your business, let it be one or if you have many. Why do we talk about the personal brand? Because a personal brand is way stronger than the brand of your company, whatever it is. So the example that people say is like when you think about Tesla,
Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Elon Musk comes, right? So you may like him or not, but the fact is that the image came to your mind. So, and then he bought Twitter. So you kind of, if you talk about Twitter, you remember him. If you talk about SpaceX, you think about him as well. So you could potentially do the same thing with your own company, with your own agency. And more than that, you can start sharing your content inside your company's LinkedIn page, for example. So you know that it's not a faceless agency that is a spread, that is not necessarily a one-man band, right? Or just automations out there. Because to be honest, for companies, if you trust everything in one-man band, and that one-man band can be like a freelancer style, right? A contractor. And if they disappear, and they can't disappear nowadays, like for any reasons, like, I don't know, they fall ill, they disappear for a week and then miss a deadline. So if you start sharing these, people start to trust you a bit more. They see that you have a team to back you up. So what I would say is like, yes, go start sharing who you are, the way you think, what you believe in. This is strong, but you cannot let the lead generation or even leveraging your team to do exactly the same thing. This is what I'm doing with one of my agencies right now. It's like I'm trying to pass to the new agency as well. It's like people within the agency, I have key players in there that I want them to start publishing more content, but they're like, but I don't want to do that. It's like, maybe I'm not here tomorrow. I'm like, I don't care. It's like, you should be a specialist in one area. If you are with me and with this company, great. If tomorrow I'm not here to lock you in golden cuffs. It's like, really, I want you to be a specialist, and I hired you, or you are hired still till today because I see your strengths in here. Talk about that. And then you have leads coming, not only from the owner, but from key people within each one of the agencies. And you have the lead generation strategies as well. You have the freebies that you give away. You have workshops. So it's more about like start with one, but don't forget about the other ones, especially if you want your agency to not depend on you only to be the rainmaker.
I love that. Tell me a little bit more about lead magnets, and I guess maybe it's traffic, but more so how are you getting more people into the funnel as a founder of a $1 to $3 million agency? And I know that there are tons and tons of strategies out there, but something that I'm seeing more and more is on LinkedIn, people sharing lead magnets. If I'm an agency and my clients are SMBs, maybe the owners aren't on LinkedIn. So I guess, is there a thought that you have on like how to create other founder-based sources for lead magnets outside of referrals, outside of, just networking, and outside of LinkedIn creating content?
It does depend on the specialty that you have and your ICP, but some of the strategies that you can do, if they are not on LinkedIn, you need to know your ICP as
Yeah.
much as possible to figure out where do they hang out. Sometimes it could be on LinkedIn, but they're not too active. I do a lot of business through LinkedIn, connecting to people and starting conversations. It's like the vast majority is like that, because then I can talk specifically with that person. But depending on if they are not in there, another strategy that I'm exploring right now is like, if my ICP hangs out in co-working spaces, why don't I
Mm,
give a workshop in that co-working space where I can present my specialty as a free kind of workshop for all of them? The owner of the co-working space is like amazing. They always want to have some sort of event,
yeah.
right? I don't charge anything, but out of each one of these events, I may get one or two warm leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you can go, it's like, you can do that in nonprofits. You can go into some specific organizations that they help out small businesses. It depends. Sometimes you go into workshops, so inside companies as well. And then the
Mm,
individuals in there, they have a side hustle or they have their own business, although they're working full time in there. You never know. It's just like,
yeah.
you should focus on kind of one type of lead. And then once that's working, like, I would try different ways. So if that dies out, you still have other ones.
Tell me about, okay. I think it's a great idea. And it's actually something that I've done several years ago. And what I found is the managers of co working spaces are very open to workshops. Like you said, they always want to have events. And if you can provide business value to their, to their members, all the better. They're happy to do that all day. The crux in like the center of all of this personal branding content, hosting workshops, lead magnets, is that you have some sort of proprietary framework or methodology of doing something. You have some sort of personal ideology to build content around. How do you think about, as we wrap up the conversation here, like in 2026, how are founders supposed to package their methodology? Is there like an easy 1, 2, 3 type of framework, or, what should we be thinking about?
It's great that you mentioned that, because I'm fiddling with custom GPT.
Nice.
I think the way that people are using AI today is more like, give me this, give me a strategy for this. And then they
Hmm.
think this is perfect, right? The way that I've been using more ChatGPT or other LLMs, it's to figure out things about myself and the way I think. And people, they try to have like really mini prompts that copy and paste from content on the internet. But literally, the thing that I found out like a couple months ago is that you can record yourself talking about one issue, your specialty. You create an audio, save it as an MP3, do the transcription, and you give that to an LLM and you say, help me figure out what is my IP in all of these things that I just told you. And if you have the skills, you can create a specific custom GPT that is a specialist in like extracting frameworks from conversations. People, they know that they have value, but they don't have that organized. These LLMs, they are great at extracting frameworks, seeing patterns way faster than we do.
Hmm.
We know we have the value. And sometimes all we have to do is like speak freely with ourselves for half an hour, 45 minutes, transcribe that, give that as a text file to an LLM, and just give this instruction. Help me create a framework of how I work and where is the value. So
Hmm.
this is kind of like the best way that I can see of using LLMs
Hmm.
nowadays.
Yeah, to extract the proprietary information. Yeah, I love that. Like look for my IP. It's actually a note that I wrote down. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do that. I use this shout out to Plod. It's like, I don't know if you can see it, but it's yeah, it's like a in-person kind of note taker, I guess. It's almost like a Fathom. And it's something that transcribes right away. It keeps the audio, and also right in the app, in the platform, I can write prompts and say like, generate this output based on my prompt, based on the transcription. So this is something that I am going to do, and because posting more LinkedIn content is definitely something that you're very good at, and I have a long way to go to catch up. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, it's like, and I love that you have that. It's like one thing that I do is like I have a dog, so whenever I walk with the dog, I go
Uh-huh.
crazy and start recording these audios
Mm.
because even with this, you mentioned Fathom, right? Like when
Mhm.
you record some conversations as well, it's like what do you do with that? Right? It stays in there. It gives me a summary. It's like you need to start seeing that as a potential of ideas. It's like
Mhm.
because we talk about headaches, we talk about pain points, solutions. Is there anything that can be extracted as a framework, as a product that I can quickly do something that is differentiated? Different. It's different than any other of the agencies or professionals in this realm. Something that I can apply to my clients, for example. So that's it. It's more like use LLMs for you to learn more about yourself instead of just like a quick output that I can sell, barely touching. It's like your
Yeah.
IP is important. And most of the people, they have no clue what their IP is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's man, using AI as a coworker or a co-pilot instead of just like it's the boss of you. Yeah, it goes two ways. Yeah, it goes two ways. Gledsley Müller, where should we find more about you, about your company, about your work? Where can we go?
There are two ways. I am most active on LinkedIn. So just search for Gledsley. You're going to find me. Or you can go to Gledsley or gledsleymuller.com and you're going to land on my website. And there you take it. From LinkedIn, you can see all my companies. And that's the easiest way.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll link to that in the show notes below. Thank you for being here. I love chatting about agencies and acquisitions and frameworks. And there's still a lot of opportunity out there. Like businesses now more than ever are looking for marketing help and to understand not only the service that agencies can provide, but how well they provide them and the quality of life that it can give the founder if you understand how to partner and how to bring out your own IP and apply it into your operations and processes. I got a lot out of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks a lot for the invitation, for the great conversation, man.
Cheers.